Hey, good evening, guys. Tush coming back at you. It's now about 7:15 on Wednesday, March the 11th, and we're on to the main attraction. Back to the restoration of this 59 TR3A, and as I mentioned in my video yesterday, we got our parts box delivered, and I picked it up at the post office today. And yeah, getting expensive to restore cars. Not that I didn't know that, but it's always a shock when you get your first package that you've actually ordered and received in a little while. So there's a little box here, $90 American, which I think with the exchange rate and with shipping, so $90 plus shipping from Pennsylvania, this is from the Roadster factory, I think that worked out to be $113 American, which with the exchange rate to Canadian dollars, that worked out to be $143. So 143 Canadian. And then today, to pick this parcel up, I get dinged with taxes, $15 in tax, and handling cost of 10 bucks, for a total of $24.71 Canadian. So yeah, it gets to be expensive when you add up all those currency exchange costs and taxes and shipping charges. So this little box of parts that was less than 100 bucks initially, 100 bucks American, cost me almost 175 bucks Canadian. So yeah. Anyway, they're needed, so we're going to get to opening the box and we'll pull out what's in there. Nothing too exciting, unfortunately. Alright guys, here's a quick breakdown of the parts that I got, just for anybody that's interested. I ended up getting some boots for the tie rod ends. I need some of those. This is the axle buffer kit with the wire ties, rebound buffer kit. That's for the axle stops. I got some rear leaf spring bushings in polyurethane. I got one oil plug. I don't know why I only got one. I got some, these are the rubber buttons for the starter solenoid. They tend to disappear, so I got a couple of those. Here are those grease rings that I was waiting for the front trunnion grease seals. So I've got a bunch more of those to play with and break. This is a idler arm grease seal. These are the spring eye bushings. I think they call them silent block. Yeah, for the rear springs. So they're the front eyes for the springs where the mounting bolts go through. And I got the lock plates for the brake back plate to rear axle. So yeah, all needed parts. Again, here's sort of more of a breakdown of my previous rant. So $90.93 US for the actual parts total, $20.63 shipping cost for a total of $111.56. When I do the conversion from that to Canadian dollars, that's $143 Canadian, and then of course the additional charges for taxes and duty or handling and taxes that I paid to the post office today. So basically 170 bucks. Anyway, I got my also ordered a couple of catalogs while I was there. I got a little mini web catalog for the TR4 and TR4A. Neither car, I don't have either one of these cars, but some of the parts from these cars are applicable to my TR250, so I thought it'd be good to have that. And then I got the new TR6, TR250 catalog, feature model sale catalog. So yeah, so those are always good to have. You kind of use them as a catalog to be able to check stuff off that I've ordered, so I know that I've actually got it ordered, or I've got it sitting in the house somewhere. So it's a good reference just to keep track of what you ordered and what you might need. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. We'll figure out a little project to do for tonight, and we'll come back at you. All right, a few small parts to finish off. This is the locking plate for the fan. So we're going to finish that off. We'll finish that project off from yesterday where I painted up the fan, so we'll get that done. We're just going to scrub up the end of this This is the dog for the, this is the crank nose bolt, or the crank bolt. And this is the dog where the starting handle would fit into. So we're just going to paint the tip of this. We're not going to paint the bolt itself. So we're just going to scrub up the end of that and give that a quick coat of paint. And these are some more of the rear sway bar mounts. These go inside the frame actually and drop down. So we'll just get those painted up and make them look a little less rusty. So there's a good little starter project for the evening to warm things up a little bit. Alright guys, we found another little project to add to the collection. This is the thermostat housing. So sits on top of the head, so you can see the thermostat inside there, I think. So what we'll try to do is we'll take this apart and we'll see if we can get this cleaned up and looking a little bit better. Looking a little worse for wear, like most parts are on this car. So anyway, we'll see what we can do with that. Hey, good evening guys, Tush coming at you. It's now Thursday night and we're just about ready to head out in the garage, and I thought I'd just give you a quick look of that thermostat housing that we'd finished off last night. I actually brought it into the house and just sort of put it back together. I did polish it a little bit. It still needs the gaskets renewed inside here, but we'll do that once I get some new gasket material. So I think it looks okay. It doesn't look fantastic. It's not highly polished. It's not painted. So I think it's a lot better than it was. So I think we're going to be happy with that. So I just wanted to give you a quick look at that before I head back out into the garage this evening. So there it is. We will put it on the table with the rest of the parts. Right, Micah? Alright guys, we're back out in the garage. It's now about 7:15 and we're going to look through the bins again, the magical bins, and we'll see what we can find to work on tonight. I didn't get around to painting those few little parts last night, so they're still hanging up on the tree there, so maybe I'll try to get those into paint at the end of tonight and let them sit overnight. But we'll need to find something to do in the meantime. I'm going to resist using the new parts until the weekend, and then I think what we'll do first is probably put those new silent block bushings in the rear springs, which I have just sitting here. So I think what we'll do is we'll clean a few more parts tonight, and then starting tomorrow night we'll start working back on getting the suspension bits front and rear back on the car, now that I have those parts that I was waiting for. So that's the plan anyway. We'll move back from cleaning parts and back onto reassembling suspension bits over the weekend. Next week I doubt I'll be out here very much. I've got a pretty busy week at work, so I think I'll only be out here for a few hours here and there, if at all. So we'll try to make the most of this upcoming weekend. Alright guys, we'll come back in a bit. Let's start with something big and heavy. Here's the old starter motor out of the TR3. It is a heavy piece of equipment. This was replaced with a high torque starter on my 1960, but as the budget dictates on this car, we're going to use the original starter, and we know that this works. If you recall, I had the car started already, and it started off of the starter, so it seems to spin up okay. So I think what this will be is more of a cosmetic restoration. I've already checked the teeth on the pinion here, and they look okay actually. So I think that's good to go. I think what we'll try to do is figure out how we're going to do here, whether we'll try to take this case off or whether we'll just sort of mask things off and tape them in situ. Anyway, we'll first thing to do is to get all the grime and grease cleaned off and all the rust cleaned off. So we'll go ahead and start working on that, and we'll figure it out from there. Alright guys, I should mention this is a bit of uncharted territory for me, because I've always gotten rid of the old style starters and gone to a high torque starter, so who knows, this could be disastrous when I try to get into the guts of this, but we'll attempt to make it better and not make it worse. I think I have backups of these anyway if need be, probably in my parts bin, so if I screw this one up I already have a backup, or there's always there's always the high torque starter. If I screw this one up, I can always buy a high torque starter for a couple $100. Anyway, just a quick little FYI. It's kind of curious actually, based on the sort of what's left here. It almost looks like this was a light blue, this color, not a black coating on this. I could be wrong, but yeah, that looks kind of strange actually. Almost looks like an Austin Healey, like a seafoam green type color under there. So I might have to do some research into that. Not that I have any seafoam green paint laying around. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Well, I guess that's what answers the question, what's behind this metal band. First time I've ever had one of those off, so there you go. You can see the guts. So, yeah, interesting. Interesting little cutout in the case, and interesting little band to protect that cutout. So, anyway, we'll press on. I kind of feel like a little kid that I'm doing something bad here. Anyway, the main body of the starter is out, so we managed to get that far without breaking anything so far. Who knows whether we'll be able to get it back together and working. I'm sure I can probably get it back together. Whether it works when it's back together, that's another story. We're working on it anyway. So yeah, so there's the main body, there's the top of it, and there's the rusty band. So we'll continue on. We'll take the magnets out of the case and probably be able to blast that after. Alright, I've just scribed the mark so I know where this one stud goes out of the case, just so I can reassemble it properly. I'm a little bit concerned about getting these magnets back in the right place. So anyway, we'll just take that for reference. Well, unfortunately, these screws do not want to budge after 56 years. So the magnets are going to stay in there. I did try a little bit of heat. I didn't want to go too crazy, just in case I melted anything. So tried a bit of heat, still stuck in there. So I think we're just going to resort to not sticking this in the blaster, and we're just going to do some hand sanding with some 220 grit and see how good we can get it to come up. And we'll clean the inside the best we can with what we got. Alright guys, so just coming up to 9 o'clock, and I think we're done for tonight. I've got the top of the case blasted. I've got that sanded down as far as I can go. It's a little rusty. I don't know if you can see that, I'm probably in the light. But I think that'll be okay. Anyway, and there's the band, the metal band. And there's the rest of the bits over here. So I think what we'll do is do a little bit of research on what color paint. I'm just inclined to probably paint the body black and to paint that sort of cast color. But we'll have a look and see what it's supposed to be, what color it's supposed to be, and if I have a chance to paint it the color it's supposed to be, I may as well do it. So let me do a little research and we'll get back out here tomorrow. Alright guys, have a good night. We'll upload this and we'll get back here tomorrow.